Aloha, it's Debbie Zimmerman, and I'm coming to you live from the Hawaiian Island Cafe in Waimanalo. And today I have a very special guest, a real warrior mom, Lori Kahiapo. And one of the problems that we have in autism are behaviors. Everyone dreads behaviors, and Lori has had such a journey in this area. So, Lori, without further ado, would you like to kind of give us background about your son and the issues that you faced?
Sure. Okay, so my son is now 28, and he's really difficult behaviors started when he was, a young teen, and we just started experiencing more and more difficulty as he gained strength and size. And so his behaviors started with a lot of screaming, really uncontrollable screaming, where the police would come. It didn't matter where we were at, it could happen anywhere. So it was actually very terrifying for all of us and people around, and disturbing. Then he would also start hitting. In particular liked hitting glass and breaking glass and mirrors because it got him the most attention. And once he'd also try to poke people in the eye, which is extremely dangerous, and he got a lot of attention for that because it is dangerous. And in between, he's just got that sweetest soul, and I just knew that we got to try to help him to get through this. And as a mom, and many other moms can relate to this, you search the world high and low, hoping to find that key that's going to unlock the secrets to, wellness for him. Because obviously something's bothering him so badly that he would have to act like that, and in between be so sweet.
So did these behaviors start at a young age, or did they happen at puberty, or exactly when did they begin?
They began when he started showing signs of autism about the age of 3. So a lot of them began, we had a regression in his behaviors, and before you know it, it started with a lot of the screaming and holding his ears and screaming. And that so disturbed us because we had no clue what was going on. And as he got older, I would say probably toward puberty is when the physical stuff started. But a lot of it was aggressive screaming, just a heart-wrenching scream that is terrifying. Like I said, people have called the police out and about with school personnel, and at my home, even neighbors,
So obviously you didn't feel safe either inside your house or outside your house. You were kind of on high alert at all times.
High alert, and I think that's if there's any parents out there, moms out there, you don't even realize it. How much of a toll is taken on you because your adrenaline's always going. And it came to a point when he would start to try to break windows, where I tried everything to hold him, but he just got far stronger than me, and that was difficulty. The first time he hit me, I just cried and cried. I couldn't believe it because I know he loves me dearly, and for him to act out, it just was very hard.
So what happened? Obviously you couldn't manage these behaviors. What happened?
There came a point where another mom talked to me and shared her heart that her motivation was that she needed to think about her son's future without parents. What's going to happen to him? Who's going to be able to handle him? Who's going to love him? Who's going to care for him? And so in time, she decided to put him in a home, an ARC home, they call it. It's like an intermediate care home, or it's like a group home actually. And she said it was everything that it was heart-wrenching for both of them, for their whole family. But they went through it, and she thought of it like my son's moving on to college, just next phase in life. And what she found is that he grew up. He did start to do new things that he wouldn't do at home normally.
So you put your son in this home too?
I did. We applied, and he was placed instead of a group home, more of an intermediate care facility, because of his level of care that he didn't have as high a level.
And so how did that go?
Oh, it was hard. It was very, very, very difficult transition. A moment didn't almost go by without you worrying and wondering. And as I got to know the staff and the people there, because we actually let Jeremiah pick his placement, we visited and he liked this one place. And the more we got to know them, we could see how much they really loved him. They really cared for him and they really wanted the best for him. And it was unconditional. Even if he had his behaviors, they still had such a love for him. And so we felt much peace and especially relief. Now, I hadn't even thought as far as what's going to happen when I leave, but my husband, it was always on his heart, very deeply on his heart. And he said he cried sometimes thinking what's going to happen to him. So for him especially, and now for me, it was such a relief to know that they take them right from the now till they pass, and they have many safety standards in place, security cameras. So we felt like in his vulnerable state, we finally found a place, and knowing that I could no longer handle him, this was such a relief, and their staff is very much aware of his behaviors. However, it did come to a point now when his behaviors became a little too much for them, because he would break windows, make holes in walls, and even broke air conditioner, I think once or twice.
So what happened then?
So at that point, I was called into a meeting, and I just thought it was just a annual meeting, which it was. And my husband was actually a little delayed, so he came in after me. But by the time he came in, all he could see was me crying and the staff quiet. And I said, we need to leave, because I couldn't even sit there anymore. They had just told me that they couldn't handle him anymore, and they were very sorry.
But they were going to
release him. And I couldn't even hold it together, because that was my only hope. I don't think anyone else would have taken him in, to be honest, and be able to handle him. So it was probably one of the most difficult times of my life, because now having him in a home,
That's okay.
now having him placed, I realized how much I had suffered. And I just, everything just opened up my eyes to realize I have been in way too much stress and strain for way too long. I didn't even realize it. Like they say, you sit in a pot of boiling water, pretty soon it's comfortable. And I needed this break desperately for my family, for my children, my marriage. We really needed it.
So what happened next?
Actually, was after I left, I just couldn't even function the rest of the day. I was just so sad. And I got a call the next day, and bless their hearts, they called back to tell me that after I left, no one spoke. They silently left the room one by one. And then next day, they started to talk and say, we can't do this. We can't do this to them. This family needs us.
So they decided to give him a second chance.
They did. And it's not like he got any better overnight, but they still decided to give him a second chance, which I'm so, so grateful for, And I know that, unfortunately, there's many families in that situation where no one will take them. And that is our, the crossroad we're coming up now, is how we're going to find placement for people like Jeremiah and the many more younger, because we're not going to live forever as parents. And some people, they might have a sibling that will watch them, but we know that the hardship it placed on their families, their marriages, their kids, their grandkids is going to be enormous,
So it was about this time, I believe, that Amari got introduced to your family.
It was actually later. They hung on to him through thick and thin. And we tried various things. I tried to bring in, help to try to get a program going together, behavior program. And they have their own. They're wonderful. We all tried hard. But I did hear about Amari. It was earlier this year that we started him on it. And I had to get approval through his psychiatrist. And I was so excited because I had already been studying and looking for something for microbiome and gut-brain axis. And I heard things, I tried things, I didn't know where to begin. I heard about it, I read about it, but what do I do next, right? And so I tried to piecemeal some things together, and it's just not easy. And so when I heard about this, I was so excited, and like I have been many times, trying many things, because we don't leave a stone uncovered. We try everything. And so I was excited to finally get him on the products. I started him on a half dose in case he had any kind of, reaction that would cause him to be worse. And almost immediately I noticed things, he just seemed calmer.
Wow.
So I started him on fundamentals and half an energy packet a day
Okay.
for the alertness
Okay.
and also for the taste, it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
And
This is the adult fundamentals.
the adult, yeah, yes. And so before long, I noticed that, well, what happens is I get a phone call when they write up a slip.
Okay.
And I'm not alarmed because they do come, and he broke some windows, something happened. So they call me about these incidences. Well, then I noticed that they weren't calling me. I got kind of excited. And whenever I'd see him, I just feel like he was calmer. And it was not overnight. I did notice, though. I felt like he was calmer and he seemed a little more alert. And I was looking for simply an absence of tantrums so that he could begin to enjoy his life because whatever was bothering him go away. So these other little bonuses were amazing. So then when I finally got the first phone call, I was kind of sad, but I said, "Oh, what happened?" And they said, "Well, he came home from school today with a sunburn." And I was very relieved. I said, "Oh," and they said, "We're sorry, but and I says, "I know he's very fair.
Right up a sunburn.
He's very fair. I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling. I'm so excited." And through the months, I started noticing more, and then my husband and then my family, started saying, "Wow, he's really communicating better. He's sitting calmly." And like my husband's first thing he noticed was that it's like he was looking right through him, like he was really trying to see him.
Wow. So how long were you on Amari before you really started to have a peace in your own soul that your son's behaviors were under better control?
I was really hesitant because I've been excited about many, many things over his life. So I was super hesitant. I didn't want to get too excited. Honestly, I was holding back my excitement. But when others started noticing, which would have been about maybe 4 months later, when others started noticing more, that's when I started to get excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the benefits that you saw were improved behavior, better eye contact. Anything else that
Communication, calmer. Just the way that, see, because these little things that I might say sound a little bit like, doesn't sound like very much, but they are like,
Yeah.
At a certain point, he loves music. Certain point when we're driving him home, that the static starts on the radio and he gets really frustrated. And he turns louder, he wants to turn up the static, but we're saying, no, this is static. It's not going to be good. Well, the one time we were driving and he reached over and turned it down and said static, and he turned it off. And then he knew where to turn it back on. And that was huge for us. And my husband especially noticed that because he was sitting in front with my son. Yeah. And he said, "Did you see what just happened?" I said, "Yeah, And then he started to try to use pronouns better. He tried really hard to use his pronouns. I, you, instead of Jeremiah, I want this, So that was exciting. And then one more thing was really, just a lot of things. My sister-in-law said he's really communicating with me well. I mean, my daughter-in-law said he's really communicating. And then at 4th of July picnic, one of my best friends said he's doing really good, and so I just
other people start noticing things and
not my mind.
This is real,
yeah,
right?
Real.
Yeah. And did it improve the relationships in your family?
Oh yeah. And that's I think what we want.
Wow.
So,
thank you very much, Lori. It really took a lot of courage, obviously, to tell this story.
Can I do one more thing?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Okay. So I didn't have Sleep Plus approved yet. So through a second, I have to get everything approved. 2 more things I have to tell you. I tried though when he spent the night over. I put him on some sleep for a couple of nights, and this is something phenomenal. Next morning, I got in the car, took him to the beach because he loves it, and he looked at me and said, "I had a good sleep, Mom." Out of the blue, he wouldn't even communicate anything near that kind of it's usually his wants and needs. I want beach, I want this. And to hear that,
unprompted, unsolicited,
you brought it up, amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Second thing, took him back to a psychiatrist appointment about 3 weeks ago. Psychiatrist noticed and he said, "What are you doing?" He's doing really good.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, "Do you remember last appointment you signed up some stuff?" And he looked, he said, "Oh yeah." I said, "That's it." And by the way, I want to ask you to sign up on sleep, a few other items.
Yeah.
And he said, "Okay."
Oh, terrific. Is there anything else you want to share before we close this interview?
I'm just excited.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, and if you enjoyed this interview, please drop Lori a line of encouragement in the comments. And actually, we are going to have a special promotion that will be in the comments too, so check that out as well. And until next time, malama pono.